A ransomware incident at a dairy company becomes much more than an information technology outage when production systems, plant scheduling, warehouse operations, and business continuity all depend on the same digital estate. On July 16, 2026, the Coca-Cola Company disclosed that its fairlife subsidiary had identified unauthorized third-party access to a portion of its systems, including production-related systems, in connection with a ransomware event. fairlife temporarily suspended production operations in the United States, activated incident response and business continuity protocols, engaged outside cybersecurity experts, and notified law enforcement. On July 27th, Coca-Cola added an important fact: the event involved the taking of certain data. The company said most production had resumed across fairlife's 4 United States facilities. Some systems and operations were still being restored, existing inventory helped maintain retail availability, and product quality and safety were not impacted. An extortion group calling itself Anubis claimed it encrypted servers and stole 1 terabyte of confidential data. Coca-Cola has not confirmed that volume, the nature of the stolen material, or the group's account of the intrusion. Treat the 1 terabyte number and detailed attacker claims as allegations, not established facts. This CipherVibe engineering tutorial separates the confirmed timeline from a defensive architecture model. We will whiteboard how enterprise IT, production support systems, plant operations, identity, backups, and logistics can share risk, trace a representative ransomware path without pretending it is the known fairlife path, examine the shutdown and recovery decisions, and finish with a production-ready ransomware checklist. The goal is not incident speculation. It is to learn how a company can contain a cyber event, protect physical product safety, preserve evidence, keep retail supply moving, and restore 4 facilities without allowing urgency to override trust. Start with a disciplined timeline. On July 16th, Coca-Cola filed a Form 8K with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. It said an unauthorized third party had accessed part of fairlife's environment, including production-related systems, in a ransomware event. The company activated response and continuity plans, brought in external advisors and cybersecurity experts, notified law enforcement, and temporarily suspended United States production. Canadian production was not affected at that time. The filing also made 2 careful statements. Product quality and safety had not been impacted, and the full scope, nature, and consequences were not yet known. Those boundaries matter. An incident can affect production availability without compromising food safety. It can also be serious before investigators know every affected system or dataset. On July 20th, the Anubis group added fairlife to an extortion site and claimed encryption plus theft of 1 terabyte of confidential data. That was a threat actor claim. A leak site listing is evidence to investigate, not independent proof of the claimed volume, access path, or technical details. On July 27th, Coca-Cola confirmed that certain data had been taken. It also said most production had resumed across 4 United States manufacturing facilities, restoration was continuing, inventory had supported retail availability, and it did not expect a material effect on financial results based on information available at the time. A useful incident timeline records the source and confidence of every line. Company disclosure, regulatory filing, law enforcement statement, forensic observation, and attacker claim are not interchangeable. When teams collapse them into one narrative, guesses harden into facts and later decisions inherit the error. Now whiteboard the system without claiming this is fairlife's exact internal design. At the enterprise layer sit identity providers, email, collaboration, finance, human resources, vendor access, endpoint management, and corporate applications. Below that is a production support layer, manufacturing execution, production scheduling, inventory, laboratory information, quality records, maintenance, warehouse management, shipping, and enterprise resource planning. At the plant edge are site services such as jump hosts, engineering workstations, historian servers, patch repositories, domain services, remote access gateways, and data collectors. Deeper still are supervisory control systems, human-machine interfaces, programmable logic controllers, sensors, drives, valves, and packaging equipment. These layers exchange data because the business needs them to. Orders become schedules. Schedules become line instructions. Production counts update inventory. Laboratory and quality results authorize release. Warehouse systems allocate finished goods. Maintenance tools connect to plant assets. Those flows create value and dependency. The phrase production-related systems can therefore cover a wide spectrum. It might mean planning and reporting or systems close to line operation. Coca-Cola's statement does not publicly define the boundary. It explicitly says product quality and safety were not impacted, so defenders should not imply that safety controls or product integrity were compromised. The engineering task is to know which digital dependencies can stop production even when the physical process remains safe. A plant may choose to halt because scheduling is untrusted, traceability is unavailable, quality records cannot be verified, identities are compromised, or operators cannot prove that the line state matches approved production conditions. Availability and safety are connected, but they are not the same claim. Because Coca-Cola has not publicly described the initial access vector, we should use a representative ransomware model and label it clearly as inference. The path begins with an exposed or persuaded identity: phishing, voice phishing, stolen credentials, a compromised vendor, remote access abuse, an unpatched internet service, or malicious software on an endpoint. The first decision point is whether strong authentication, device trust, conditional access, and help desk verification stop the attempt. After entry, an operator seeks durable access and broader privilege. Useful targets include directory services, remote management platforms, virtualization systems, backup consoles, software deployment tools, service accounts, and secrets stored in scripts or shared locations. The attacker enumerates trust relationships and finds systems that can reach many others. Lateral movement becomes especially dangerous when enterprise identities, administrative workstations, or management services can cross into production support networks. The question is not whether there is a firewall. It is which exact identities, protocols, jump paths, and maintenance processes are allowed through it. Before encryption, many ransomware operators discover and stage valuable data. They may compress files, use cloud storage, transfer through remote tools, or abuse legitimate services. Then they disable defenses, damage recovery paths, and encrypt or otherwise disrupt systems. Every stage offers a decision point. Can the team detect impossible sign-ins? Are privileged sessions recorded? Can one account administer both corporate and plant systems? Are service accounts interactive? Can a workstation reach backup control? Does data loss monitoring see unusual archives? Can plant operations continue safely if production support data becomes unavailable? The strongest defense breaks the chain at several independent points. Coca-Cola's confirmation that certain data was taken changes the incident model. If ransomware only encrypts systems, the central technical question is whether the organization can contain the attacker and restore trustworthy service. When data is also stolen, confidentiality, legal exposure, notification, extortion, and possible public release become parallel workstreams. The first challenge is scope. Investigators need to determine which repositories were accessed, what files were opened or transferred, which identities performed the actions, how long access lasted, whether archives were created, and which outbound channels carried data. File server logs, endpoint telemetry, cloud audit records, proxy events, data loss prevention alerts, remote tool logs, and identity records must converge on one timeline. The second challenge is classification. A statement that certain data was taken does not reveal whether it involved corporate documents, operational records, employee information, customer information, supplier data, credentials, intellectual property, or another category. The affected organization must map the evidence to retention, contractual, regulatory, insurance, and notification requirements. The third challenge is attacker messaging. Extortion actors benefit when a dramatic volume becomes the headline. Volume alone does not measure sensitivity or business harm. 1 terabyte of duplicated system images may create a different risk from a small set of highly sensitive records. Until independent evidence supports the claim, the precise volume remains uncertain. Incident communications should say what is confirmed, what is still under investigation, what people should do, and when the next update will arrive. Precision preserves credibility when facts evolve. A temporary production suspension can be a deliberate safety and integrity decision, not proof that malware controlled physical equipment. Imagine the incident commander facing incomplete information. Some production-related systems are affected. Identities may be untrusted. The team does not yet know the attacker's full reach. Continuing operations might overwrite evidence, spread malware through shared services, create untraceable batches, or make later reconciliation impossible. The shutdown decision should use explicit gates. Can each facility authenticate operators through a trusted path? Are production instructions and recipes verified? Are quality checks available and independently confirmed? Can batches be traced from ingredients to finished goods? Are packaging labels and date codes controlled? Can warehouses distinguish released product from quarantined product? Are physical safety systems independent and healthy? Can the plant communicate without reconnecting compromised services? If any required control is unavailable or untrusted, the safer action may be to stop, isolate, and enter a documented continuity mode. Continuity does not mean improvisation. It uses pre-approved manual procedures, offline contact lists, alternate communications, local operating instructions, paper or isolated records, predefined inventory priorities, and reconciliation steps for when digital systems return. Coca-Cola said product quality and safety were not affected, and existing inventory helped maintain retail availability. Those outcomes illustrate 2 different resilience layers: safe operational containment inside the facilities and commercial continuity through inventory outside them. The pitfall is measuring resilience only by uptime. A fast but unverified restart can reintroduce the attacker or compromise traceability. The real objective is trustworthy production, not merely running machines. Restoring most production across 4 facilities requires more than decrypting servers. The recovery team first establishes a clean control plane, trusted administrator identities, hardened recovery workstations, known good networking, protected logging, and out-of-band communications. If identity or management services remain uncertain, every restored system may be exposed again. Next comes dependency mapping. A production application may depend on directory services, databases, certificate services, time synchronization, file shares, message queues, virtualization, name resolution, licensing, vendor connections, and plant gateways. Recovery order must follow the graph, not the loudest application owner. Each restored component passes gates. The source image or backup is known good. Credentials are rotated. Persistence has been hunted. Network access is minimal. Logging is active before reconnection. Configuration matches an approved baseline. Functional testing succeeds. The next dependency can fail without collapsing the entire recovery. Facilities should return in stages. Start with isolated validation, then a limited line or product, then controlled expansion. Reconcile inventory, production counts, quality records, maintenance state, and shipments. Watch for attacker callbacks, credential reuse, unusual administrative behavior, encryption attempts, and gaps in telemetry. Backups must be both recoverable and protected from the same trust plane that was compromised. Offline or immutable copies, separate backup identities, multi-person destructive controls, and routine restoration exercises are more valuable than a dashboard that only says the last job succeeded. Coca-Cola said some systems and operations were still being restored even after most production resumed. That is normal for risk-based recovery. Business capability can return before every supporting service, provided the remaining dependencies are understood and controlled. 5 conclusions should be rejected. First, do not say the attacker definitely stole 1 terabyte. That volume was claimed by the extortion group and has not been confirmed by Coca-Cola. Second, do not equate production-related systems with direct compromise of controllers or safety systems. The public disclosure does not identify the affected layer, and the company said product quality and safety were not impacted. Third, do not assume resumed production means the incident is over. Coca-Cola said most production had resumed while restoration continued. Investigation, credential rotation, monitoring, data scope analysis, notification decisions, and longer-term hardening may continue for weeks or months. Fourth, do not treat lack of expected financial materiality as lack of cybersecurity significance. Security's materiality, operational impact, personal data obligations, contractual exposure, and technical severity are different tests. Fifth, do not turn a reference architecture into a forensic finding. The initial access, lateral movement, exfiltration, encryption, and plant boundary paths in this tutorial are defensive models. Only the affected organization and its investigators can establish what actually happened. The senior engineer habit is to attach confidence to every statement. Confirmed by company. Reported by regulator. Claimed by actor. Observed in telemetry. Inferred from architecture. Unknown. This discipline improves technical decisions. Teams waste time when they hunt an assumed entry vector instead of evidence. Executives lose credibility when early claims change. Customers receive poor guidance when communicators blur product safety, availability, privacy, and financial impact. Uncertainty is not weakness. Unlabeled uncertainty is the weakness. Finish with a checklist. Map every path from enterprise identity and remote access into production support and plant networks. Name the owner, purpose, protocol, source, destination, authentication method, logging source, and emergency shutdown procedure. Separate administrative identities and workstations. Use phishing-resistant authentication, device trust, just-in-time privilege, session recording, and rapid revocation. Eliminate shared and interactive service accounts. Segment by function and facility. Default deny management paths. Force vendor access through monitored gateways. Prevent ordinary endpoints from reaching backup control, virtualization management, plant jump hosts, and software deployment systems. Collect the evidence needed for double extortion, identity events, endpoint process and file telemetry, file server access, cloud audit logs, proxy and DNS records, archive creation, remote tool activity, data loss alerts, and plant gateway connections. Synchronize time and test retention before an incident. Protect recovery. Use immutable or offline backups, separate credentials, multi-person destructive controls, clean room procedures, known good build sources, dependency maps, and regular restore exercises across each facility. Write production stop and restart gates with safety, quality, operations, security, legal, communications, and executive owners. Practice manual continuity, inventory allocation, traceability, and reconciliation. During an incident, maintain one evidence-backed timeline. Label company-confirmed facts, external claims, forensic observations, and inference. Preserve artifacts before changing systems. Contain identities and management planes before broad restoration. Finally, verify outcomes. No attacker persistence, rotated credentials, clean backups, healthy logging, tested traceability, stable production, reconciled inventory, documented data scope, and owners for every remaining risk. CipherVibe is independent and is not affiliated with or endorsed by Coca-Cola or Fairlife. This tutorial is general education and news commentary, not legal, food safety, compliance, or incident response advice. Copyright 2026 CipherVibe. All rights reserved.